subscribe or it comes for you.
If you sleep alone at night, there is one thing you should never ignore, no matter how small or harmless it sounds. Sometimes the quietest sounds hide the darkest secrets, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves slowly. I learned this the hard way, and what happened still haunts me every single night when I try to sleep alone. For almost 2 weeks, I ignored a strange whisper that came from somewhere inside my room late at night. I thought it was just my imagination, something my tired mind created in the silence of the darkness. But I was wrong, because something was under my bed every night, trying to speak to me in whispers. My name is Danish, and a few months ago, I moved into an old apartment that felt normal at first. The first few nights were completely quiet, nothing unusual happened, and everything seemed perfectly fine. But one night, I suddenly woke up without knowing why, as if something had disturbed my sleep. The room was completely dark, and the silence felt heavier than usual, almost unnatural and suffocating. Then I heard it, a faint whisper, like someone quietly talking in a voice too low to understand clearly. At first, I thought the sound was coming from outside, maybe from the street or another apartment nearby. But when I focused carefully, I realized the whisper was coming directly from beneath my bed. My heart started beating faster, but I tried to convince myself it was nothing serious or dangerous. I ignored it and forced myself to lie back down, closing my eyes and pretending everything was normal. The next night, it happened again, and this time, the whisper felt closer, clearer, and more real. I still couldn't understand the words, but I knew the sound was coming beneath me again. I stayed completely still, trying to listen carefully without making any movement at all. Then suddenly, the bed moved slightly, as if something underneath had shifted its position slowly. That moment made my entire body freeze because I realized something was actually under my bed. I felt a deep fear growing inside me, but I was too scared to move or even breathe loudly. I kept listening, hoping the sound would stop, but instead it became clearer than before. After a few seconds, I heard a complete sentence whispered slowly from beneath the bed. The voice said, "He can hear me," in a low and chilling tone that made my heart almost stop. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and turned on the flashlight, pointing it toward the floor. I slowly leaned down, preparing myself to look under the bed and face whatever was there. But just before I could look, the voice whispered again, even quieter than before. It said, "Please, don't look," in a tone that sounded almost like a warning or a plea. That moment made my fear even worse, but my curiosity was stronger than anything else. Slowly, I leaned further down and pointed the flashlight directly into the darkness below. At first, I saw nothing, just empty darkness that seemed deeper than it should be. Then something moved slightly, a shadow shifting slowly, as if something was alive in there. My breath stopped as I stared into the darkness, unable to look away from what I was seeing. Slowly, a face began to appear in the light, coming closer from the deep shadows under the bed. It looked human, but something about it was completely wrong and deeply unsettling to see. Its eyes were wide open, staring directly at me as if it had been waiting for this moment. The skin looked pale and lifeless, like it had never seen light for a long time. Then suddenly it smiled, a slow, unnatural smile that made my entire body shake in fear. The voice whispered again, "Finally, you looked," with a tone that felt terrifying and cold. I jumped back in horror, my mind unable to process what I had just seen under my bed. Before I could move away, a pale hand suddenly reached out and grabbed my ankle tightly. Its touch was ice cold, sending a shock through my body as I tried to pull my leg away. I screamed loudly and struggled to escape, kicking and pulling with all my strength. The grip tightened for a moment, as if it didn't want to let me go so easily. Then the voice spoke again. "I've been here for a long time," in a calm, chilling tone. It continued, "When you fall asleep, I come out," making my fear even worse than before. I finally managed to break free and jumped off the bed, running toward the door in panic. I didn't look back. I just ran out of the room as fast as I possibly could. The next morning, I called the police and told them everything that had happened that night. They came and searched the entire apartment carefully, checking every corner of the room. They looked under the bed with flashlights, but they found nothing hiding there at all. I felt confused and terrified, unable to understand how something could just disappear like that. But then, one officer noticed something strange on the wooden floor beneath the bed. It were deep scratch marks carved into the floor, as if something had written them. The scratches formed a sentence clear enough to read and understand without any doubt. It said, "I'll come back tonight," and those words made my blood run cold instantly. The officers looked disturbed, but they had no explanation for what they had just seen. I knew I couldn't stay there anymore, not after everything that had happened in that room. I left the apartment that same day and never returned to that place again. But even after leaving, the fear never truly went away from my mind or my nights. Sometimes, when I lie in bed at night, I feel like I can still hear faint whispering. It's always quiet, barely noticeable, but enough to make my heart beat faster in fear. I try to ignore it, just like before, hoping it's only my imagination playing tricks again. But deep down, I know the truth is far more terrifying than I want to believe. Because it feels like something is still there, waiting patiently somewhere in the darkness, waiting for the right moment, just like it did before, hidden where I cannot see it. Every night feels longer now, filled with silence that no longer feels safe or empty. I keep my eyes closed, afraid of what I might see if I decide to look again. And sometimes I feel like the darkness itself is watching me from below. I lie still in bed, unable to sleep, staring into the darkness with growing fear. My eyes slowly adjust, but the shadows in the room seem deeper than they should be. I hear something again, a faint whisper that sends chills down my spine instantly. I slowly turn my head toward the edge of the bed, my heart beating louder. The room is silent, but the feeling of something being there is impossible to ignore. I sit up slowly, trying to listen carefully without making a single sound. The whisper feels closer now, as if it is coming from somewhere beneath me again. My body freezes, remembering everything that happened that night in the old apartment. I stare at the floor, too scared to move, yet unable to look away from it. My breath becomes heavier as the fear begins to take control of my thoughts again. I slowly lean forward, my eyes fixed on the darkness near the edge of the bed. The silence grows louder, making every second feel longer than it actually is. I feel like something is there, hidden just out of sight in the darkness below. I don't want to look, but the urge to know becomes stronger every second. My heart races as I get closer, unable to stop myself from moving slowly. The darkness under the bed looks deeper than normal, almost unnatural and endless. I hear something again, a whisper that sounds disturbingly familiar to me. Something shifts slightly in the shadows, making my entire body tense with fear. The darkness feels alive, as if it is watching me and waiting for my next move. And in that moment, I realize it was never gone. It just followed me here.